Oh, hey, everybody. Excuse us. It's podcast number 9. We actually have a new producer. That's Timmy right there. He's a little camera shy, but he's going to help us out a lot. Very professional night coming up.
Thanks, Timmy, for being here.
Let's roll.
This isn't another fishing show. This is another fishing show.
All right, everybody. It is podcast number 9. Greg Underdahl, Pete Wagner. We are back in the basement of AFS Studios.
Reunited, and it feels so good.
It really does feel good. It's, I don't know, 10:30, 11 o'clock. You were running late as usual.
Yeah, it's always going to be an issue, unfortunately.
Yeah, but we don't have anything on the calendar tonight, so we're going to segue into a day of fishing tomorrow. But before we get rolling on our current state of mind, I think we need to discuss a video that we put up, which was probably 2 weeks ago at this point now. 2 weeks?
Yeah,
3 weeks?
I guess it's 2 weeks, something like that. Sorry, I had to grab a beer.
2 weeks ago. And so we put up a video. I don't. Maybe, Greg, you can start from the top on this one before we get into
Well, yeah, it's... So, I have got a buddy. His name's Adam Geis. He owns a drone company called North Star Aerial. And he's a great friend of mine.
Super guy.
Pete's met him before this shoot at my wedding.
At your wedding. I played beanbags with him at your wedding.
Yeah, he's like a very selfless dude. You know, he's super, super generous.
Very sweet guy. Big heart.
And so in his business, not only is he doing drone videography and photography, but he's also starting to do full-scale like helicopter stuff as well. And so he's got connections in Minneapolis with full-scale helicopter companies. And when I say full-scale helicopter companies, I'm really talking about one helicopter company in particular, and that's Hummingbird Aviation. Okay, so yeah.
Your go-to helicopter company.
Exactly. So Adam came up to me one time. It might have been actually when we were sturgeon fishing. I went sturgeon fishing. We actually shot a live video last fall in his little boat.
He's on our page.
Yep.
Yep.
And so I think that's when he brought it up to me about doing a funny video with some kind of like a helicopter, a full-scale helicopter delivering us beers.
Was it that thought out at that point?
It was the idea at that point when he ran it by me was that we would actually be out on a boat, and it would be an app, like, oh, you know, gosh, it would be nice if we had a beer, you know, we forgot, or something like we forgot our beers. Oh, no problem. I've got an app. There's an app for that. Right. And so shot of a app, dialing in the app, and then before you know it, here comes a helicopter.
Right. Every fisherman's dream.
Exactly. So I thought it was a great idea. The fact that he was willing to just do something like this. Adam not only does drone videography, photography, like I said, but he's got a ton of experience doing ground videography, video production. I mean, he's got a great eye, has a lot of knowledge with video production.
And you worked with Adam. We had talked about this in a previous podcast with Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the Super Bowl pregame nonsense.
Correct.
You guys did a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
So you've worked with Adam a bunch of different ways.
Right. So what happened is that I don't remember exactly. We were looking at the winter starting to actually, this winter has gone on way longer than we ever thought it was. But back in March, it was looking like maybe we only had 2 weeks left of winter.
It felt like it was falling out. And so much so that when we showed up for the shoot, that they were putting thin ice signs on the landings. Right. There was caution signs that were lit up. There was actually a film crew there from a news company doing their... Let's do a spring ice story. And everybody is like,
right.
You know.
But you're getting ahead of me here.
Okay, sorry.
But
I'm just saying that it was spring was starting to.
That we all fell victim to the idea that spring was right around the corner.
Mm-hmm.
And that was not true. But I wasn't, I knew that Adam wanted to do this concept, but I was thinking, okay, it's going to be a concept that we do in open water. It's going to be with a boat. and he brought up, I think it was sometime in March, early March, or it might have been late February. Let's do this winter while we have ice. Let's do a concept. And so the funny part about it is we had this concept, but we had to now put it on the ice, and we didn't really hash out a full-fledged plan of, like, we didn't script anything out. And we were kind of, I was kind of putting it on the back burner until I was like, okay, yeah, we'll do it this winter. But then Adam's like, let's do it this week. Right?
Because you had mentioned it a couple times to me, and I'm like, do they really want to do that? We didn't really take it seriously, but we're like, well, if that comes up, let's, entertain the idea of it, because what a great favor to us that would be.
Yes. And so he basically, Adam, like it was like the week of March 20th. He's like, dude, let's do this. I'm like, this is a hell of an opportunity for Pete and I, just for another fishing show, that he's offering us the services of North Star Aerial, but also the services of Russell Heater, who is a professional photographer, Hummingbird Aviation, Ben Alexander, the pilot. This is all pro bono.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we got the idea. Okay, so the idea is Ben, the pilot of the full-size helicopter, is going to deliver us beer on the ice. But we have no storyline, right? So we set everything up. We've got a date. It's like, I think it was March 20th or March 21st. We're going to shoot this thing on Lake Minnetonka. But the night before this big shoot, with everybody coming, we don't have a script lined out.
It kind of the idea got locked in on a Friday, and I think the shoot was on a Monday.
Right. It was something like that.
We were getting into Sunday morning, and we still didn't have a script fleshed out, because they were kind of like, well, come up with a script, whatever you guys want to do. And we don't know what we're doing.
Right. It was a little nerve-wracking.
It was very nerve-wracking, especially, when you're forced to act, if you want to call it that. But acting's not our
forte,
to say the least. I have never even thought about the idea of acting, so that whole idea, I literally, the night before going into it, I was kind of like butterflies and didn't sleep real well. And
oh, really?
Just like, this is going to be weird. Well, because all those guys.
Yeah.
But I'm showing up with a bunch of strangers.
No, I was anxious too.
Yeah, and a girl in a bikini.
Okay, well, we got to get to that.
Well, I know, I'm just saying, that's all, I'm acting in front of all these people.
Right. So basically, Adam's like, okay, you guys work on the script. Pete did the initial script, and then I tweaked it and whatever, and
you punched it up. That's the Hollywood term.
Punched it up. So then, basically, we have a script, right? But before I finished the script, this was the thing that was crazy. Okay, this is the night before the shoot. Okay, we've got a guy that's going to deliver, a helicopter pilot that's going to deliver us beer, right? At the last moment, Russell Heater knows a woman that's a model. He asks her if she would be willing for nothing. Okay, nothing. We didn't pay anybody anything for this. She last minute wants to be in a bikini in our video on the ice in very cold weather.
And she was with her boyfriend, and she gets this random text from Russell saying,
that's right.
And he only knew her because she was a Budweiser girl.
A Bud girl. He had worked with her before.
Yeah. So
yeah, Annalisa Summer. So thank you, Annalisa, especially short notice.
She was great.
She was fantastic. It just put the video kind of over the top, And as far as like having we've probably kind of beat that whole thing to death with having girls in bikinis. Are we allowed to have another girl in a bikini again?
In the summer, we probably could.
Okay, then good. Okay,
maybe
good.
It's a seasonal
maybe
thing.
Okay.
We still have fall.
I like how you're thinking.
And spring.
But I'm going to tell you, my wife was very upset that her and her friends couldn't be in this one.
She was the original Another Fishing Show bikini girl.
That's right. So
yeah.
She was, they just, because of work and everything, they couldn't, and that would have been great too.
We could have used just Jessica, right? Why do we need to get that whole crew?
I believe that she worked the next day or something. It just didn't work out. It was so last minute.
I mean, if you want to make it in Hollywood,
Right. No, she was
sweetheart.
Visibly distraught that, especially once she saw the edit coming together. together.
Right.
You know, it's understandable.
So we scrambled this ridiculous script together, and then you punched it up, like you said. So the idea of the script was, I guess we can kind of cover this going into it, that we are out on the ice. Everything's great. It's kind of a late winter. God, the weather's so nice, and you know, let's all have a beer, kind of a thing. And then we realize we don't have beer,
right,
and that turned into serious aggression between the two of us, which is completely
Pete kicking my ass and knocking out my tooth.
I liked being on that end of the spectrum because I've never actually kicked anybody's ass in real life.
I haven't either.
Yeah, that was kind of fun.
I've been beaten up before.
Yeah, you know, you've been beaten up in make believe too. So so then we get into a fight, and then we get into this dream sequence where a helicopter lands,
right?
And he's got beer, and then all of a sudden, this at some point we throw. I put a message in a bottle that's like, we have no beer, please help, and I put it down the ice hole, which is ridiculous.
Right.
And then
the physics of that is completely wrong too. There should have been water right to the top of the hole.
So bikini.
The sound effect I think kind of helped with the illusion. Did you hear the sound effect I put in there?
No, I didn't even.
I actually took a. Was it in my toilet? No. I went in my bathroom. I had a bucket of water, and I just dropped a glass in it, right, to get the sound effect.
And
because if you see it without the sound effect, it kind of just is like.
Do you remember how we drilled the hole like
halfway?
Yeah,
we drilled that hole halfway.
The water didn't actually come up the hole, or the bottle wouldn't go in the actual hole. So this is really behind the scenes, like DreamWorks kind of. So we only drill the hole, so it's just air in the hole, so you can actually drop a full Mick Golden bottle into it.
So did you see it go all the way into the hole? But that's not if your ice fisherman would know that was.
Right,
but maybe the average person would be like, oh yeah, he's dropping down an ice hole. No, and there would be water right to the top.
And then somehow a girl in a bikini's somewhere else on the lake in a different hole where that bottle comes up. And she finds it, and without knowing where we're at, she goes and buys us a case of Ham's beer, and then comes walking across the lake. It all makes perfect sense.
It makes perfect sense.
Well, that's where the dream sequence comes in, because then you can kind of get away with anything. And then, so it's kind of ends as like a PSA of, the dangers of ice fishing without beer. This is what can happen. You can get delusional, and you can, you and your friends can get in a fight, and then you can start seeing crazy things.
So the funny thing is that it was a dilemma for me, because I was like, okay, well, we actually in the initial edit, you say this, it's spring. Oh, it's the first day of spring. Isn't it great? Because when we did this video, we thought, okay, spring is right here. Like it's gonna be spring. And in Minnesota,
like the ice we didn't know if we could land a chopper on the ice. We were scared of it.
Right. But really, spring just arrived yesterday in Minnesota here. So maybe a week or so ago. It started looking like spring was coming maybe a week or 2 weeks ago.
But there's still piles of snow.
Yeah. So I had to, the whole idea with this video is that, okay, it's now spring, and these guys are going out, the last ice fishing trip of the ice season. So I had to drop this thing when it was like it had to feel like spring,
right?
So we were holding this video for a bit until it actually felt like spring before we're like, okay, now we can drop this thing,
because it has to make sense.
Yeah, and yeah. Sometimes, actually most of the time I overthink things.
Well, whatever. I mean, it worked out well.
So I was really, you saw how many views we got. Right now it's sitting at 62.3 thousand views. Now, not YouTube.
Right.
On Facebook. Facebook, we've got a pretty good handle on Facebook.
Right. Once again, we curse the YouTube.
Yeah, the YouTube can suck it.
Yeah. We just we thought we were gonna wake up the next day and our lives would change. Yes. We're just gonna.
We're getting calls from Good Morning America.
Right. Are you those two guys with the beer on the ice with the helicopter?
Jimmy
bikini?
Kimmel wants us on his show.
Oh, we were gonna run the world, and then we wake up and there's 300-400 views the next day, and we're like, okay, well, day 2, it's kind of a 3-day window. You kind of look at it like
it's really cool to see it blow up on Facebook, and I kind of know,
it's kind of a viral Facebook Facebook thing.
Yeah. Like we've done the best we did before, previously, or before that was we had a video. This is the funny thing. For whatever reason, I put a catfish video up on Facebook. And it blew up. It got 32,000 views.
The ice fishing?
That's for channel catfish, yeah.
Right.
And I mean, it's really interesting. You see people starting to share it, and then they tell they're tagging their friend, hey, we should try this. You see, it's kind of fun to see kind of how human beings interact and how they respond. And so this one, when I put it up, I shared it to different Facebook groups, and you could just see that it was going. It was just dunk. And you also, when you have a big video like that on Facebook too, you see peak activity periods of human beings.
Right.
like the morning before work.
Right.
Dun, 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 and then drops off, then lunch, you see it's really interesting in that respect.
So it was pretty cool. And the whole thing was like, again, a huge thanks to all those guys that were involved. And Annalisa, they went way above, like we were out there from, I don't know, 10 o'clock till 5 or 6, weren't we? I mean,
it was at least till I think maybe 4 or 5. Yeah.
And
Russell was out there. I mean, Russell saved us. He remembered a shot that we really had to get.
He's a really
we
sharp
almost
guy.
Forgot about it.
And then, the helicopter pilot, he's a veteran, but a young
Ben
guy.
Alexander.
Yeah, super friendly guy and just, smart.
He's got a last name that's a bit Russian, though. Alek. Aleksandr. Someone should look into that.
Right. We should admit that is a little suspicious.
Especially him being a helicopter pilot. It's dangerous.
It's collusion. It's a witch hunt. Sad.
It's a pretty good impression.
Thank you. But yeah, so the whole thing.
Are the levels are too high? Should we move back a little bit?
Sorry.
All right, Timmy's
running
producer,
the board.
our first producer.
Tim's on the board over there.
We need to move back
come
a little
on
bit.
camera. Show your face.
No. Okay. Whatever.
You're doing a decent job, Tim. I won't say a great job, but you're doing a decent job. But it's his first night, so let's just, but try not to interrupt the flow if you can.
He's a quiet fella.
Mm-hmm.
So we let's see. So no, it absolutely. Thank you to everybody that made that. Like I said, we didn't have to pay a thing. There was a comment from one of the viewers.
We couldn't pay a thing.
You're right. No, we couldn't afford that. We couldn't afford that. I know how much a helicopter cost an hour. But we had a comment that from Kayak Catfish. Know him? Mm-hmm. He said that I love that you guys spare no expense.
We really,
as long as it looks like
spare change expense. I mean, there's a shot in this. Like there's literally one guy flying a drone, and then another guy is running the camera on the drone. So there's 2 guys just in charge of this drone. And then Russell's working this awesome camera, getting these great long shots with all this perspective, and just like it was so fun to be around guys that knew what they were doing, because usually we're just being silly. But the whole concept of AFS, another fishing show, if you will, is that we kind of wanted to be silly. We didn't we never really thought of the idea where we're actually going to be acting. Although we came up with a concept at one point of some Sasquatches. While we were canoeing,
I still want to do this.
This is kind of where this came from a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, there's multiple ways to do this. So, and we always thought, well, wouldn't that be funny if you saw like the Root River down here is just a great canoe area, and there's no houses. It's very remote. It feels remote when you're in there. So if you saw a Sasquatch while you were going by,
like canoeing, or floating, or
you'd want to stop your boat, but you couldn't because the river's moving pretty quick, and it would just like freak people out, and you could just capture people's reactions to seeing a Sasquatch. So we're like, what are the many things you can do as a Sasquatch? One of them was playing chess. Do you remember any of the others?
Oh yes. You know I remember all the others. Yeah. So Sasquatch is, if there's one Sasquatch, there's probably 2 Sasquatch. I'm talking an entire world, right? So how do you make more than one Sasquatch? They have to mate, right? So that's all I'm saying. We would have a camera with a long lens shooting people's reactions as they witness these 2 Sasquatches mating.
Right.
or doing, not necessarily even mating. They could be doing other sexual acts on you. I mean, is that
right? And that would take serious acting, you know.
Well, not in a suit. You'd be in a complete suit.
Right, but it would still be awkward.
So I still want to do that. The trick of it is you got to find 2 Sasquatch suits that look not completely like crap.
Absolutely. And you have to pick the right people coming down because you don't want to scare like camp kids that happen to be rolling down on their way to...
The other thing, too, as far as releases, like, do you have to then go run those people down and go, sign this? Can we use your... Or can you... that's illegal stuff I don't know.
That's a problem.
Or can you just... I got to ask my brother this. My brother's an attorney. You might just be able to block their faces out, and that would be enough.
That's true, but the face reaction is kind of the funniest part.
Well, absolutely right. That's stupid.
So maybe
totally, you'd have to get their permission.
Maybe if we just knew the outfitter that was dropping boats, we could, at the end of the day, because they're going to report a Sasquatch sighting. They're going to try and get pictures, and that's the other thing. You'd have to get out of there quick. You got to do something that only takes 5 seconds or 10 seconds, which shouldn't be a problem for me. And then you got to disappear into the woods because you don't want anybody to get any great photos,
Right. I want to with AFS. I kind of want to be right on the edge. Of like. And so we have to kind of protect ourselves, Pete. I think we since we're going to be right on that line,
right?
We gotta be careful. We got to do things legally, like releases and everything. And plus, it would just make my wife feel better. Anyway, just.
Well, I think we might need to talk your wife into getting one of those Sasquatch suits because she might be able to play the part a little bit better than me, but.
We could probably have her friends do it. Yeah,
right. We're talking.
Yeah. I'll talk with her.
So, but anyway, that's kind of where the whole helicopter idea sort of. I mean, just the idea of us. Well, let's not just do a fishing show. Let's try and be ridiculous when we can come up with an idea to be ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, I think sometimes
the ice fishing with a drone. That's where that came from. Kind of led into all right. Well, now we have a helicopter. I guess we just got a helicopter and a model. So you're like, well, what do you do with that? Take these 2 things and then make a script out of it. In 48 hours.
Yeah, it's the fun thing is that I'm excited about. Adam said and. I can't emphasize this enough. I don't want to keep harping on it because I don't know how interesting this is to listen to. But honest to God, these guys, I can't say enough. Adam Geis, North Star Aerial, thank you. Russell Heater, photography. Russell, thank you. Ben Alexander, Hummingbird Aviation. You rocked. I mean, this guy's like. What's crazy is the guy's like in his 20s, and he's so like got his shit together.
I know.
I
know. It's like hard for me to relate.
And Annalisa, like in a bikini on the ice on a cold day, and she was a pro all the way. So thank you guys so much for doing that. And so I guess what's cool is that group that I just mentioned, Adam's talked about getting us all together once a year doing something like that level of production. So, I mean, honestly, even if we didn't do it again, it was
incredible. Great just to one-off it, but we would love to do it again. So,
we're very fortunate.
So, moving on past our latest video release. So
that wasn't our latest video release. We're moving on to our latest video, our latest video release,
which is what
Maina. Was that what you're talking about?
Right. Well, yeah, podcast. I was putting in a different category, but I hear you. So we were lucky enough to have our last 2 podcasts, if you heard them, number 7 and number 8. At the house of professional muskie angler Pete Maina, who was nice enough to invite us in. Greg's known for a long time. We've talked about Pete a lot on the show because we're kind of big fans of Pete. And that whole experience was really cool because I just jumped in the car and drove to Hayward, Wisconsin. I'd never been to northern Wisconsin, shockingly. I've always kind of boycotted.
You've never been to northern Wisconsin?
I don't think so. I don't think I've ever been anywhere near Hayward, which is kind of shocking, I know. Southern Wisconsin, yes, but never northern Wisconsin. It was really cool. I basically followed the Chippewa River from Wabasha all the way to Pete's place, and it was just like it got better and better the whole way up there. So
beautiful country.
But Pete was so fun. I mean, just getting to see Pete in his element there, and We're set up in his garage with all of his musky lures on the back wall, and he's got chickens rolling around and dogs running in every once in a while. His wife's going in and out. She's actually cleaning out the goldfish pond. Pete has a goldfish pond, and he watches the goldfish to sort of clue him into how the fish bite is going, believe it or not. That's an actual thing. He discussed squirrel launching, which he recently just put up on his...
he's brought it back. He's brought the squirrel launching back. And there's a lot of people, I mean, here's the thing. I'm not an advocate of squirrel launching myself, okay? So I just need, honestly, I'm not an advocate of that. I've been bit by a squirrel. I saved a squirrel from a dog when I was a little kid, and I got bit. It's still right there. You see that right there? Yeah.
They can bite, huh?
Oh yeah. I've told you the story, right?
I don't
know. This is at
you had
Grandpa Walter and Norma's place when I was a kid.
There's no way you didn't tell it to me.
The scar is right there. I've been bit by a squirrel trying to save it from a dog.
But who were you trying to... Who was the dog?
It was one of my grandpa and grandma's dogs.
But not Maggie,
no,
the famous
it was,
Maggie?
I think it was they had a poodle. I think it was a poodle. Dude, I'm like 7 or 8.
And the dog had the squirrel pinned down?
The dog was like killing the squirrel, like had the squirrel.
How does a dog catch a squirrel?
I don't know, but it had it, and so I grabbed the squirrel and the squirrel bit me. So I've been bit by a lot of shit.
Yeah, that's ridiculous, man. You were trying to help the squirrel, and he
bit me. And then I dropped him, and I think he probably died after that. The dog killed it. But my point is that listen, I'm not like an advocate of squirrel launching, but I do think it gives you a sense, an idea who Pete is. He's in the Northwoods, and this is what he enjoys doing. I don't have to like everything that Pete does to like him, but I will overall say, as a human being.
I don't think Pete is injuring any squirrels. He seems to be, and from what I was able to pick up from it, so he's trying to keep squirrels off his bird feeder, which probably isn't an exact description of what Pete's doing. I think he enjoys launching squirrels.
I agree. Yes, he does. It's entertaining.
He was kicked off YouTube for it, and I didn't know any of this until we were actually talking about it in the podcast, and I was laughing so hard. And when I was watching it back, I was laughing again. I'm like, is that really a thing? So he's just got this little lever next to the bird feeder, and if you pull on a rope, I thought it was automatic, like it was triggered, but you actually have to physically pull it, which makes it a little more...
Well, you know what it is, right? It's what they use for trap shooting. It's a skeet thrower. Right. You know what I mean?
A squirrel thrower.
Yeah. So he's custom.
And these squirrels come back. Like he launches them into the woods.
Now that I don't. I'm not sure that happened. I mean, certainly some of them get all knocked the hell upside a tree, right?
He seemed pretty confident. He's like, no. They just. I think I'm rolling right back. You know. But Pete, he's always walking that line of being funny or serious or lying, and I can't.
Well, you look at some of the amusement park rides that human beings they're putting themselves on. It's not all that dissimilar,
right? And squirrels are stealing what isn't rightfully theirs.
I love that you said that before. Right.
It's like, well, I know that
they're trying to eat. It's seeds.
It's hard to explain them the laws, but they kind of get the picture after they've been launched into the woods, I would think, anyway. But
yeah, no, what I like about Pete, or one of the things that I really like about him, is that he just goes by the beat of his own drum. He's doing stuff like that, and I know that some people have said, you could lose sponsors over it, stuff like that, and Pete still does it. And there's a part of my personality that's like, I dig that, dude. Like, you're like, I'm still gonna do it.
I am who I am.
Yep. I mean, I really, if I examine my personality, there's a big part of me that really admires that.
Right.
No, he's serious, dude.
He is, not only is he like a legit fisherman, like you can tell he's just passionate about fishing. He really is just like a character. Like the character you see on TV is the character that was sitting right there with us, and he's got that great voice and that great laugh. And then he just flows through all these stories. He's written a couple of great books, which, by the way, I actually bought the full package when I got home. I'm like, you know what? I was going to grab one of the books from him, and then I ended up ordering it, and he sent it to me. But I got three or four DVDs, Muskie DVDs.
Nice. Of his?
Yeah, and then both books,
nice.
Which is going to be kind of cool to go through. So they just came in the mail. I haven't had a chance to look at them yet, but...
so just to kind of set up the scene that you couldn't see on the podcast, so Pete's got a garage that really is no different than a lot of people's garage. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think people have an idea of maybe a guy that's a pro fisherman that
on TV.
On TV that they might. I don't know. Maybe it's something otherworldly, but Pete's garage is a very, in many ways, modest garage, like a kind of an average, every man's garage.
Yeah.
With the one exception. Well, two exceptions. He's got a crap load of boxes of his books right in the middle
of the garage.
Right.
Yeah.
And then on top of those boxes, I hope I'm not out of line by saying this. Pete's not the most organized or clean guy. I think I can get away. I've known Pete well enough. I think I can say these things. And so there's and I'm the same way, man. You should, dude, I like to be organized, but I'm not.
Right.
My stuff's a mess.
You know where you want to be. It's hard to get there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're so organized, dude. I admire you very much, Wagner. Good. But so Pete's got his books in these boxes, right? It's muskies suck too. Muskies still suck. And then he's got his lures and stuff on top of them, and then he's got lures, as you saw in the podcast, all over the wall,
which he claims is 10% of his lure collection, and I'd be curious to know where.
You didn't even get to see inside.
Does he have them hanging in there too?
Well, no. I mean, pretty much. His house belongs to his wife.
Right.
You know what I mean? Kind of like my house.
Quaint, right? See, I've got this room, but this house belongs to my wife.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of how it works.
I have the garage in this room. That's kind of why I got this house. And the other thing with Pete that surprised me, I'm like, well, where's your boat? He's like, I don't even get my boat. Like, he's like, everyone thinks it's great that, sponsors give you a boat, which in theory sounds awesome, but the reality of it is you have all these different companies because he's got his electronics, his trolling motor, his boat, his engine, and they all have to get on the same page at a marina somewhere, get their newest gear in at the right time, have somebody put it together, and then get that boat to Pete by the time the water is ready.
Right.
So he's like, a lot of times the water's open, I can't even get out on the water and go fishing. It drives me crazy. And by the way, I really was kicking myself for two things for not asking Pete Maina this, so maybe you can ask him for me sometime.
Ask him right now.
One, I wanted to know what his best fishing moment ever was.
Not that he's listening to this podcast. I shouldn't be so arrogant.
But I wonder with Pete, is that when he's 10 years old and something happened? Or
ask the question again. I'm sorry, I missed it.
His best moment ever fishing.
Oh, that's
just like your best fish, or I bet he had a great story there.
Yeah.
And the other thing was, and I'm taking up this cause, and I wanted to take it up and embarrass Pete, was that the Freshwater Fishing Hall of Fame is near Hayward, Wisconsin. It's almost in Pete's neighborhood. I saw the sign for it going up there. And how in the hell is Pete Maina not in the Freshwater Fishing Hall of Fame?
Because Pete Maina, you know what Pete Maina, and Pete Maina says that Pete Maina,
yeah.
I
looked up who's in the Freshwater Fishing Hall of Fame.
A bunch of ass kissers.
And I got fired up. I was like, there's no way. Like, what is going on? And really, this is, this is our Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, whatever. But it is so true. Like, this is a guy that isn't just an awesome fisherman, and there's not a lot of musky guys, which qualify you right there. But he's a character that is, a television personality. He's a writer for magazines. And
dude, it's politics,
books.
brother. Honestly.
Well, we're going to make a difference. I'm going to start emailing. We might need to just go outside and protest.
I think we...
Do we need to ask for Pete's permission to do that, do you think? Because I would totally spend an afternoon out there,
I think we got a video, Pete. Should we get a drone involved?
We think it's pretty lame with no Pete Maina.
Oh, we got to add that also to our no glitter on fishing boats anymore campaign. Right. So that's good. We got quite a bit of work to do this summer.
I would feel more comfortable protesting in front of the Freshwater Fishing Hall of Fame because they probably have nothing to lose.
Oh gosh.
But a marina would scare me a little bit because I don't want to hurt anybody's business,
Right. But I know I've thought about that too.
But the Freshwater Fishing Hall of Fame is fair game. Is that like a private entity? I suppose it is, right?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I don't know, but I like what you're thinking.
I'm going to find out a lot about this Freshwater.
This is a great idea.
And I don't care. We maybe need to find more people that are being, left out of this Freshwater Fishing Hall of Fame. And then if they're not going to cooperate with us, we're going to start disparaging them like their legitimacy. Because they already have one huge knock against them.
Yeah, the thing is, like, legally, I want to know what we can get away with. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, how far can we take? I'm not talking about, like, defaming people or anything, but, like, how far can we... Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, like some guy comes out and is like, "You got to get out of here." Like, do we actually have to get out of there?
Oh,
yeah, that, because we have a legal right to protest as long as we're not on their property.
See, we need to have a lawyer with us.
Have you ever been there before?
Timmy, do you have any lawyer friends? Or
you got connections?
Who's
that guy that helped you out in that drug case in the 80s?
No.
Yeah, what? He's just playing dumb now. He didn't. Just come on camera for a second.
It ain't gonna happen.
Anyway.
All right.
But if we stay on public property, I think we're good to go. But the other issue is if people come out and holler at you.
Well,
can you use their images? You know,
that's what I'm saying. I don't know. I mean, remember when we on Lake Okoboji? Remember that?
It's gonna be some sweet old lady.
Remember that
retired old lady at Okoboji?
Well, there was a person that came out. And, you guys catching anything?
Oh yeah, that's
and
right.
I filmed them. But then I never used it. But
he offered us bass. He's like, "You want these bass?"
But I'm like, can I use that? I don't know. Whatever. I actually never used it anyway. Yeah, but there's a lot of legal stuff.
We've been filming a show for 3 years. Maybe we should look into that.
Maybe. That's a great yes. I think it's something that definitely we need to look into. But no, like Pete's got chickens running around in the garage. I mean, he's got dogs running around.
There was chicken. Crap all over my cables and stuff. I was just noticing it tonight. I'm like throwing it on the white carpet.
And that's, I don't know. I know you feel the same way. That stuff to me, I absolutely love.
It's dynamite.
I love that stuff.
It's real world stuff. That's the way it should be.
Exactly. I think with what we're doing with AFS, what we're trying to do more than anything is cut through the horse.
Right.
You know. And just
the blinky shirts, as Pete says, I couldn't get it out of my head.
I mean, we're just, we're just trying to be we're trying to be as straight, shoot straight as best that we can.
Right.
And that's kind of, I've been that way most of my life. I just don't like fluff and people trying to be something that they're not, and and people putting on airs.
Yeah. Right.
What the hell am I talking
Whatever.
about? I don't know. But would you say that that's kind of like what we're trying to do?
Absolutely.
I mean, we should probably at some point actually put together a mission statement or something that really kind of distills what our philosophy is. Because when people ask me what we do, what is AFS, I just go up. I mean, I know what we're
true. But we had a mission statement, but you couldn't recite that to people. I don't know the best way to. When they ask you. But it depends on who's asking. Because if it's like, your coworker who's never, been on a fishing boat before, it's a different explanation to a guy.
I just don't have a good explanation. I need something like in 2 sentence, 3 sentences, just like, boom. Yeah. That's what it is. That's what we're doing,
Yeah.
I know in my head, I know what we're doing.
I
can't describe it well enough.
Right. I hear what you're saying. But anyway, a giant thanks to Pete Maina for accepting us into his garage and putting up with us for not one, but 2 podcasts. We're going to make this a 2-parter because we've got Pete for an afternoon, and there's still ice in the water, and there's still a ton of snow up there.
And here's the thing, dude. Pete has invited us to do shoots with him. Dude, are you excited about that?
Yeah.
Seriously?
Yeah.
When that happens.
Yeah. And by the way, Alex Perrick, he bailed on the May shoot. He was thinking of hitting Pete Maina and us.
Oh, okay.
And he's not, but he's still maybe working on June or something like that. But
okay.
I tell you what, if Pete was taking me out, I would be like in it to win it.
Oh, yeah.
I'm clearing out. I'm like,
I'm right there with you, dude.
Sorry, sweetie, I have to miss your baptism, but Daddy's got to go to fishing.
Hey, you got your priorities straight, Wagner.
That only happens so often. But even just to do it with Pete in his home water up there in Hayward would be just awesome. I just want to see that guy.
How excited would you be to see him actually set the hook and see his hat fly off?
Yeah. That would be great.
Dude,
and the other thing was we were going to try and force him into our boat, which would,
I kind of like that. He's got Recon is his boat sponsor, so I don't know how that can work, but
I'd be fine with it, but it would be funny to see 3 guys casting.
We might be able to still make that work.
In the Lunker 16 SS.
SS. What's weird about that, to add an SS on that, you ever thought about that? A Lumacraft, a Lunker 16 SS?
I don't know what it means.
Why would you put SS?
What does it mean?
SS is Nazis.
Right. So what does it mean? Like, what are they abbreviating something?
Well,
super sport.
That's what the only thing. Like cars, like a super sport, and like a muscle car.
Is that a real thing? Super sport.
Yeah, I think it's those. Like there was muscle cars in the 70s with SS on them.
Well,
but honestly, I would think after World War II, no one would want to put SS after anything.
Yeah, it's like I'm not going to wear my Mein Kampf T-shirt around either.
No, that's not.
But I can attest, and if anyone's ever seen my boat, there was nothing sporty about my boat. That's not a adjective that you would use to describe that boat at all. Functional, yes.
Speaking of, okay, this is a great segue. Okay, I've seen the window. I'm gonna jump right through this window.
Is that all right,
here.
Tim? He's got the topic list over there.
Do you see where I'm going here?
Just ignore him. He's not even helping. Are you even watching?
So here's the deal. So speaking of non-sporty boats, so this is a compliment. This is a compliment, okay? A non-sporty fishing boat. You have had the incredible opportunity to be fishing with someone that I would love. Okay, we're talking about this, segueing from Pete Maina, a guy that we'll be fishing with again, probably this summer. Really looking forward to this. Pete has fished twice now?
3 times.
With guy, how would you describe this gentleman? Because he's honestly, to me, he's like an what's someone that doesn't but he does not get enough recognition. Like he's
right, but he avoids recognition.
Right,
it's like self-imposed. That's what's so great about it.
What do we call an individual like that? As
I don't know.
Is he a savant?
He's kind of a savant. He really is a sage of fishing.
Sage.
So to start out with, the best part about
you got to just tell his name. Go into this guy.
Don Hooch Chanson. All right, this guy's name is Don Hooch Chanson, and Don Hooch Chanson grew up as a young boy in Mower County, which is in Austin, Minnesota, and we grew up in Adams in the same county. And Hooch, as he's better known, owned a bait shop, if you want to call it that. It was more equipment and archery and fishing, because there's no lakes in Mower County. I mean, Eastside Lake in Austin is just a dammed up little river right there.
That's where I got my start.
Yeah, it was the curse of our lives that that's why we spent a lot of time in these trout fishing streams around here. But Hooch sold me my first major fishing rod. Like I had owned a lot of terrible fishing equipment, but I remember going into the White Whale with $80.
That was the name of his store.
Mm-hmm. It had
the White Whale,
Shamu whale on it, and he told me he named it that because he was going to destroy the competition, which he put him out of business. And he actually moved that store 2 different times, and he did this for a long time. He was the owner of his own business, and then when he kind of sort of semi-retired, he went and worked for a sports shop in Red Wing, and then later Gander Mountain.
I can't imagine him working at Gander Mountain.
No, they kind of came to Red Wing and peeled him off of there, made him an offer. And so anyway, he moved to Lake City. And Hooch is knowledgeable in all kinds of fishing. Northern Minnesota, trout fishing in Michigan. But he's not just knowledgeable. He's as good as anybody I've ever seen at anything. The guy is really just amazingly tuned in to the world around him. And it's not just fishing. It's astronomy and weather and politics and everything around him. He's got these visceral opinions about everything, not in an annoying way, just it's a really interesting guy to talk to. So he's taken me out 3 times, and it's maybe been, all top 10 days fishing, of top 10 trips fishing for me. So the first trip he took me on was, and this is all Mississippi River, was bass fishing, right? And
you got to be careful here.
I'm not going anywhere with it, but I couldn't crack the code on catching bass. So Hooch takes me out, we just lay out largemouth bass and striped bass, and it was like and I've been trying to fish it.
You sure they weren't white bass? I don't know if they're white bass.
Maybe they're white bass.
Yeah, they're white bass.
And I wasn't having any luck for, most of that summer. He takes me out at the end of summer, and we just slay him. And it is so much fun. I'm in his boat. He'd never even met me before. Only on Facebook. We just became Facebook friends. I mean, he did when he sold me a rod, but he doesn't remember me. He thought I was a different Pete Wagner from Austin, But I'm like, I don't care. I'm just like, you can even think I'm,
Right.
It doesn't matter to me. I just want to get in the boat with you. The next time we go out perch fishing, and we just catch jumbo perch. And Hooch has got this great philosophy of multi-species angling where he likes to fish for anything. He just likes to fish. He likes to fish what makes sense to fish for at that specific
Can I interject, because this complements what you're saying? I got to tell you, so we're friends. I'm friends with him on Facebook. And he's a pretty... what's the term? He posts a lot on Facebook. We'll just put it that way.
Yeah, he's a busy guy.
And a lot of times political stuff that's just hilarious.
And he doesn't have a phone, and he doesn't have a television.
But he posts a lot of fishing photos, and he's so prolific. This guy is the most prolific multi-species angler that you've never heard of.
Right, and he doesn't discriminate.
No, and he's so good at all. First of all, here's the thing. It takes a lot of work, and this is one of the fishing is very segmented, let's put it that way. Like, there's groups of walleye fishermen, there's groups of diehard bass fishermen, and a lot of times they don't mix, and they're just, you can get into, so species specific, and so honestly, each species takes a lot of time to really get to learn.
A lifetime.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So for Don to be so good at all of these different species, you basically can tell. Let's call him Hooch. Does he like to be called Hooch?
He's
Does
Hooch.
that prefer?
Yeah.
Hooch, you can tell he's just, it's his passion in life, and it's why he's on the earth.
Since he was a young boy, I've talked to people that knew him as a kid, he would ride his bike 30-40 miles from Austin to where you can trout fish, and whatever it took to get to where he was fishing. And then he ended up guiding sort of all over the place. He's taking people to Lake Michigan, he's taking people to Lake of the Woods. He can just take people there and guide. But the amazing part of what he's been doing the last 15 years of his life, which is how long he's been in Lake City, is that he's figured out the river in such immense detail. And he's got this calendar that he sort of works off of. He's not that crazy about ice fishing, but he will. He's a brilliant trout fisherman still. When he can't do anything else, he'll go out trout fishing. But he knows the ins and outs of the river, at least the 3 pools around his house. He doesn't need to drive that far. That's an amazing, amazing fishery with no stocking, self-sustaining, anything you want to fish for. And he's got all this calendar worked out where he can just fish for what he wants all year long. And he's just as happy to catch a flathead catfish or a blue sucker or a giant walleye or a big pike, and all these surprises just keep coming up when you're in the Mississippi River fishing for these kind of fish.
And the great thing about him is that he doesn't fish out of a $90,000 boat. I'm just astonished at how expensive boats have gotten.
Yeah.
And no. He could kick
It's
so
simple.
many professional walleye anglers' asses. I'm completely convinced of it.
He doesn't.
Okay?
He doesn't
out
even,
of his little. What is it? A 16-foot?
a
14
foot. I don't even know what he had last
most
time.
people would consider it kind of a beater boat, correct?
Right. Just plain Jane.
Dude.
He's got a trolling motor. He's got a nice motor on back, but nothing extravagant. Flat bottom in the boat, and he's happy. No console.
And he has no tell me if this is wrong, but he has no there's no. He doesn't want to be recognized for that, or he doesn't want
He just likes to be undercover, especially when you're out there in the river and you see a lot of big boats, and you start to identify warrior. It says war. I saw boats out there that said warrior across the whole boat.
Well, dude, know that fishing is a combat operation.
It really is. So, but when you're that guy, you get noticed. So if you're a guy that's out there catching fish and people are noticing it, now when they start seeing your boat, you're recognizable. He sort of likes to just blend in and just do his thing.
But he must like, I mean, he stirs up shit on Facebook quite often, so he must like a little bit of like recognition. I mean, maybe not. Like, what do you think? What do you?
I don't even think it's recognition. I think he just believes in his politics, so he loves to stir the pot. He really does. He gets a kick out of that.
Oh, it's something.
And he doesn't take it too seriously. Like, I've never seen him angry about anything. He's just funny. Like, he's frustrated by things he doesn't agree with.
Well, he has these people that are like, so Don Hooch is liberal, and he'll have like a comment from one of his conservative friends on there that's like they're always battling. It seems
like they're in a headlock. And I asked him,
do you know who I'm talking about?
And I asked him about that guy, and he's like, "No, like I used to sell that guy bows, and like we've known each other for a long time."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Could you go fishing with him?" And he's like, "Yeah, you know, whatever." It's
it's beautiful.
It really is
beautiful.
But I admire the guy like through and through, just because of the way he approaches the science of fishing and appreciates. You know, he's concerned with water quality and protection and public lands, and just like he's got this huge sort of ecological mind that all plays into it, and he's concerned for the future. I mean, it really bugs him to see the way that sort of the science of how you protect these sorts of places are just thrown aside, and then there's nothing you can do about it. You don't get it back in 200 years. If you get rid of it now, you just don't get it back. So in our last trip out, we went out and I saw some of the biggest walleye I've ever seen get caught before in my life.
And that's what's so exciting, man.
Yeah.
It's like
I'll put some pictures up. It was crazy.
And that's what's cool about fishing. I've always I've said this for a long time, is that this is maybe the most exciting thing about fishing to me, is that just when you think you know something, or you think you've kind of got fish figured out, or okay, maybe this area isn't that good, there's some guy or somewhere else. I've seen this in tournaments where, you know, let's say you have a terrible day, you know, fishing. There's someone that's figured something out, and it's just like they catch huge fish. Like Hooch is a perfect example of this. Like, there's ways to fish that can completely open up a brand new world that you never thought was there, of opportunities. And you experience that, you know, and I'm sure multiple times with
I'm sure Hooch has bad days in the water, but I was out with him 3 times and they were home runs. But the best part about Hooch is he's not really up and early. That's not a big thing for him. That's when he's posting on Facebook.
Okay.
And then he just kind of rolls out the door when he's feeling good. He doesn't like to drive very far, 10, 20 miles. It's got to be within that range. I mean, just think about, he still goes out to Montana and sleeps on the ground. The guy's almost 70 years old. Think about that.
I admire that.
That's so great. I mean, he just loves it that much. And it's just like, I'm just impressed with him. So I appreciate Hooch even bothering to take me out and show me this stuff that, I mean, it really is. It's just a kind of a special thing to see some guy that's that involved with a body of water, and it just feels natural to him to be out there.
Hooch, we're going to take our hat off to you.
Yes.
Oh, wait, no, I don't look good with my hat off.
Timmy doesn't want that.
Okay.
He's giving us the high sign. Oh, is it? We've already been going almost an hour here, too.
Is that right?
That's what Timmy's saying.
All right. Well,
all right. We got 10 minutes. So what I do want to discuss before we go,
okay,
we're getting there. Just one more subject, okay? I don't even know why he has a deadline.
You don't need a deadline. I mean, this is a conversational podcast. Timmy, this is a conversational podcast. You don't have to have a deadline, bro.
I'd be surprised if he makes it to next week. I'm serious. But so Greg came down tonight, and we haven't had a chance to do any fishing together. Yes. Or film anything for a couple weeks. It's kind of that weird transitional time where the ice is out. Most of the bass season is still closed. So this is kind of a sweet spot in this part of the state because it's the warmest part of the state, and we're in Rochester.
Oh, can I say something before we get, because
go crazy.
May 12th is the season opener, fishing opener.
Yep. Is it?
And so I honestly, it is. It's fishing. What that means is that's when you can start fishing for walleye. Here in Minnesota, they call it fishing opener, as if there's nothing else to fish for right now, which is don't get me started on that. But I believe that you can't fish for bass right now either, right? But okay, that's not even my point. My point is this, okay? There's still lakes, numbers of lakes, even, in the cities, Minneapolis, around, that got ice on them, okay? The lake that I live on just got ice out yesterday, okay?
Was that a late, like a notoriously?
That was late, man. That's late.
Do you know what the record late is?
That's probably pretty close, I would imagine.
Right.
It's probably pretty close. So my point is this. So they're going to allow you to fish for walleyes and I believe bass. I think this is how it works. I should really know the seasons better. I don't fish.
There's a 2-week catch and release thing.
Is it right now?
It might have started then. I could look that up.
Okay. Yeah, look it up while I'm ranting right here. But my point is that you're going to, it's still, even if there's a catch and release season, if you have a season to protect the spawn, either for walleyes or bass, so May 12th, you're basically allowing people to fish for spawning fish in this latest season. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Right.
Because it's so late in the season. If this was a regular season, okay, those fish would have been spawned and done and everything. But this isn't. This is a late season, so these fish are going to be spawning, and you're going to be able to fish for them. What's the point of having a season?
It doesn't make any difference.
What I will say this. Let me rant one more time. This
Go crazy.
Two sentences. Okay, maybe more. There needs to be more of a catch and release ethic, okay? You can have your seasons, okay, whatever. But honestly, it would be, in a perfect world, we can get rid of seasons and just people had more of a catch and release ethic up north here. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, the first thing I'd like to point out is there's now a flathead catfish season, which is kind of ridiculous because it goes from April 1st to November 30th, and the period in between there, you would never catch a flathead, but you could snag one, technically. I guess that's what they're talking about, but they're completely dormant for that time, so it's ridiculous. But it's good to hear that they're keeping catfish in their mind. I don't see anything about smallmouth and largemouth.
When is it open? You don't see a catch and release?
No, and this says
so
it
think of this:
north and east of Highway 53 from Duluth to International Falls, and I don't even know what that means. But there used to be
north and east is up. North and east is up in like Duluth area,
right? Because
so everything else,
it's actually fought. It doesn't start till the 26th.
Oh, bass season?
North
up there,
south and west of U.S. Highway 53 from Duluth to International Falls, except Pelican and Ash Lakes in St. Louis County. That's smallmouth and largemouth.
And when does that open?
The 26th. But the 12th essentially means I think you're good to go on the 12th. Opening day, you can fish for bass.
Well,
right?
what's that? What are you talking the end of May thing? What is that?
That's just a different geographic area.
Okay, yeah, that's up in Duluth. That's when you can fish for them again.
Right.
So my point is this, okay?
Because it used to be, remember, it used to be like 2 or 3 weeks after opening day. Remember that?
There isn't a catch and release season they're talking about for bass?
It doesn't say that, but do you remember that
it
used to be the case? Like opening day was here, but bass season was like a month from that. You would have to wait until June for bass fishing.
Really? I don't remember that. No, I don't remember that. Well, my point is this. May 12th, okay, these fish are going, largemouth in particular, okay, they're going to be just possibly getting on beds.
Yeah.
It's nonsense. It's nonsense, these seasons. It's nonsense. Okay, but I say that. I understand the reason for them because there's such a specifically for walleye. People just keep every damn walleye, it seems like.
Right.
So you got to protect them, I guess. I wish there was more of a catch and release ethic so we wouldn't need seasons because they're stupid.
There is a smallie catch and release season that goes from
I'm all worked up.
September 10th to February 24th, which you should be tuned in.
Oh, no, of course I know that. But then it closes now.
On the 24th, yeah.
Yeah.
It's closed right now.
So. Yeah. That's why I can. I did those videos in February.
It's ridiculous. So, with that being said, in Minnesota you can't fish for a lot, but in southeastern Minnesota, trout season's open all year. The rough fish, the red horse, start running in the Root River and the Zumba rivers around here, which are a ton of fun, and they've been open for a long time, and they're really into the throes of spring around here. They've warmed up, and there's nothing but clear water right now. And then we also have the Mississippi close by, which doesn't have any seasons. It's completely regulation free. So
because it's border water.
Border water.
On the
So
border of
you have
Minnesota,
this
Wisconsin.
beautiful catalog of options that are right here. And Zumbro Lake, which is a reservoir, is another option for us, but that's for catfishing, channel catfishing. So the plan was Greg's going to come down, and I've been torturing myself all week. Like, oh, what are we going to do? We got to get a good shoot. I want to make sure we find some fish, and the rough fish when that's going on is a sure deal. You can just go out and catch big fish all day. It's a ton of fun. You get some trout mix in there. You get some sturgeon mix in there. It's just like kind of a wild day of fishing. So everything was kind of setting up perfect. We were debating fishing backwater for largemouth bass. Water was going to maybe heat up, and the fish were going to start moving in. And I've never done this before, but it was an option. But the only setback there was that the river is at the all-time high right now, past flood stage, just roaring right now, and all that's coming from up north, so the water temperatures are a little cold, and it probably isn't perfect for that.
Probably cold in the main river.
Right. Backwaters, I was out there Sunday, and it was 4 or 5 degrees warmer, but the problem with this backwater area, the river was up so high, it was just flowing through the woods into the backwater. It wasn't just like a spot where it was cutting near it.
Right.
So that kind of didn't feel like the way to go. So I'm like, all right, well, let's do the rough fish thing and maybe do some trout fishing. And then sure enough, spring weather kicks in. So yesterday it looked like about a 30% chance of rain. Today the weather got steamy, not excessively hot, but the humidity kicked in. It was great all day here with wind. And sure enough, about 4 or 5 o'clock, the thunderstorms broke out. Dropped an inch and a half of rain. I'm still seeing lightning outside, which totally blows out any option for trout fishing. It's just a waste of time to try and trout fish. That only makes the Mississippi worth. Although, and I'm asking you this because we can decide what we're going to do tomorrow.
We're actually deciding this during the podcast.
Absolutely. Or at least decide how we're going to get up. So my first thing to do every morning before I go trout fishing is I call the fishery because those guys love to help you out. Well, hey, what do the streams look like? Well, I know the answer is probably going to be crap. Although you can usually find smaller spring creeks. We have 12 hours before we're fishing, so a lot of those early parts of the creeks are going to clear up, and we can do small water trout fishing. And we could still probably rough fish. The river will probably be up a foot or two. It'll be brown, but you can still catch red horse. If the red horse are running, which we don't even know that official yet. I haven't seen any evidence of that, but this is the go time for it usually. But again, it's that weird spring. So the other option is, well, the backwater, yes, is flooded. Cold water pushing in there from up north, but now we just had an inch and a half of warm rain. So we just coming off a couple of 80-degree days, since even Sunday when I was there, which was, 52 in the warmest parts. But now you've got rain on top of that, and you've had a couple of warm days since that. But you also have all that water that melted is pushing into it, kind of opposing it from two different directions. We don't know what we're going to get there. It could be a complete bust. Or it could be bass with huge pike trying to catch these bass as they're moving in too, which sounds like a ton of fun. And then the other option is Zumbro Lake. Zumbro Lake is I've never caught a catfish in a boat in Zumbro. I've caught some through the ice. It's got a huge amount of potential. In my
but how do you find the thing is like what are cats doing right now?
So because Zumbro is basically a river, it's not wide in any area. I've always wanted to try dragging like Santee rigs. You know what I'm talking about?
Santee Cooper.
Just
that's the lake. It's a lake where they did that.
Right. So I've even got those draggers that they use for walleyes that have the big sinkers on them that keep your bait off the ground.
What? I hear what you're saying.
And just cover ground all day and see if you can kind of tune into where channel cats are going. You're probably dragging a sucker. I don't know if you're dragging cut bait. And the other thing is finding suckers, which I think we can in town here. I'm really tempted by that notion. And so the Zumbro will be up because we got an inch and a half rain. That's always good for catfishing. It's an influx of warm water. It like kicks in spring, and all of a sudden the channels are going to be, it could be just a bombshell for channel catfishing.
But where can you find them in a lake, in a reservoir that time of year? See, I mean,
I would start where we ice fish, further down the channel, and I've got some local recon from guys who have kind of pointed out spots.
In open water?
In open water.
Okay.
Yeah, because I was like, are these ice fish spots? He's like, oh, no, I'm sorry. I was marking up a map for you for summertime. But again, like you can cover that whole lake. There's not a lot of structure. I talked to guys that catfish out there in the summertime, and they use that method of just drifting really slowly, just letting the wind carry them and finding fish that way.
Okay.
There's not a lot of hiding spots. You get up to one end of the river. It's only 12, 15 feet deep. It's a shallow channel, and it's not wide. And then it gets really deep by the dam side. So I think in the morning we get up, we investigate what the rivers look like in southeast Minnesota. We could even attempt going rough fishing and then bail out on it, come back, grab the boat, and we could either go bass fishing or we could go cat fishing.
Okay.
It's like this whole week has been torture me because literally Wednesday is my day off. I wake up Thursday, I'm already planning my next Wednesday. And I'm looking I'm looking at the graphs. I'm always texting you this stuff. The river levels, the temperatures, how much flow these rivers have and how that's, who even knows.
That's good information to get.
It's good information, but in the end, I don't know what any of it means because I'm still a rookie, especially on the Mississippi and the Zumbro. But I know what's going on.
Practice makes perfect. Well, in fishing near it's very hard to be perfect in fishing. So it's impossible, really actually.
So I think we get up in the morning, though, and investigate southeast Minnesota, just talk to some locals over there over the phone, and then decide, well, do we want to go see if the Red Horse are running? And then beyond that, what I was actually hoping for is if the Red Horse were not running, I was going to get an outfitter just to drop us in a drift boat, and we could have floated down the main section of the river and caught some big trout, which would have been a ton of fun.
Right.
But now if that stuff is up and flowing too hard, you're stuck in a boat and you can't escape it if there's no fish biting. So
right.
So I don't know if we can have an answer for that one tonight.
I guess, we're just going to have to play it by ear and come up with a decision in the morning.
Yeah, and see if there's any more rain, because if there's any more, we're completely out of luck. So
yeah. Well, but I guess we're getting pretty close to the end of this podcast.
Timmy's getting aggravated, I can tell.
I want to say something. I didn't bring this up as a topic to you before we started this podcast, but I think it's important to say this. I want to apologize for something that happened earlier.
That was a dark day.
It was.
We're gonna tell this story right now because this could take a spiral.
Well, this is an important story because, we Pete and I have known each other for a very long time, and there is a bit of a danger working on a show like this. Two very good. Pete is he's my best friend.
Absolutely,
and he is. I mean, as far as a male friend, my wife is my best female friend. Pete is my best male friend.
You might be giving this text too much gravity though, because.
Well, I just want you to know that I appreciate your friendship very much. Okay, I love you.
Hashtag your job.
But I know I have the text right here. But there is a bit of a danger when you work on it. I am such a nitpicky asshole. Okay, I realize this.
Tensions run high, but that was a legitimate gripe. But the problem was, so Greg, part of my job is I edit down the podcasts and I get them up for all the world to see, or more like 200 people to see. And but more can listen. And by the way, we're still working on getting the audio up for these. It's very frustrating, but we're getting there. If Timmy would just get his ass together, and he's just whatever. That's a whole nother story. So part of my job is to edit out the swear words, because if you put it on YouTube, you got to take out your swear words, because YouTube just kind of doesn't help you out if you're swearing. And I don't even hear swear words.
It's such a part of your vocabulary, and I get that.
I'm completely tuned out to swear words. So I was editing the show, and Greg sends me this text, and I was ready. Oh, it was already scheduled to post that day, and Greg sends me a text like, "Hey, I dropped a shit somewhere in there."
Yeah, this is how. Do you want me to read
literally.
the text?
I'll explain here. So, there's still in the show. You need to edit that out, and I'm already at work, and I'm like, "Oh, I'm not. It's gonna have to go up next week." I'm talking like 7 days out, because we're not going to do it this weekend, blah, blah, blah. So, but then I had to change the plans, and I had to go home to grab something. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, well, if I can pull up the spot in it, I can pull out the edit, and I can start it uploading and then head back to work. And then by the time I get to work, I can reschedule it, and I can still launch it today, right? So Greg gives me a range of where the swear word was, right? The 20 to 25, is that what you said?
So what happened was I was so the night before I was doing Lyft, ride sharing. I'm driving for Lyft. That's part of how my strategy of making being able to have enough time to do another fishing show and all. I'm not going to get into that right now. But I'm driving. I'm a Lyft driver and also an Uber driver. So if you come to Minneapolis, I'll drive you around. So I get home at like midnight, or maybe it was 1 o'clock, and I see that you have it up. It's a scheduled post. So I'm like, oh, I'm going to check it out. I'm going to watch it.
It's private.
Right? It's private, yeah, but I can see it, you
right.
know. And so I watch it. And then, so I see that there's a shit in there that wasn't bleeped. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to go to bed. I'll text Pete in the morning that I saw that. Okay, but I saw roughly where it was when I watched it initially. I didn't know exactly the time stamp, but I knew it was like between 20 and 25 minutes.
Right, that's what I was looking for.
Yeah. So, do you want me to read the text thread?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay. So this is what happened. So this is April 24th, 8:07 a.m. I text Pete. I say between 20 to 25 minutes into the podcast.
Right.
Pete responds, won't be home until 8. Put up next Tuesday? I respond, yeah. Pete responds at 9:34 a.m.
Yeah, so this is me returning home now. I'm like, oh, I got a window. I can maybe get this done.
I had to stop at home. What are we talking about? Didn't hear it again. I respond.
And by the way, at that point, I watched it twice, from 20 to 25, and still didn't notice it. And I think part of the problem is that if you're watching it, it's harder to hear it. Like, I should just put on headphones and just sit there and listen, you know? I think there's visual distractions.
Yeah, it's like a psychological thing.
Maybe.
So I respond. I say somewhere in the neighborhood of 20 minutes in the podcast. Are you high when you edit these?
You're getting aggravated at this point.
Well, I don't. That could see. This is what's funny. It could be. You know, you could take that as a joke.
Oh yeah, no, I.
But you kind of know me too, so you're like, okay,
know that. Okay, he's getting mad now because I'm bugging him. And really, I'm just desperate because I'm like, I could still get it up tonight if you can help me pin this down. But and like I said, I listened twice and failed.
And so Pete responds right back, perfect timestamp. Thanks. And then my blood pressure starts to rise. And I respond back. Hey, dude, I looked at this at 2 in the morning after Ubering. Actually, I was lifting. Be glad I caught it. Hashtag your job.
Oh!
And boy, Pete dropped the hammer after that.
Because at this point, I'm so frustrated. And part of the reason I'm so frustrated is because I've watched it twice. And I'm like, why am I not hearing this? You know? And I'm like, I know it's there, but I can't find it.
So Pete responds, a time or topic. Seriously. I am still sitting here trying to find and need to leave in 2 minutes. Fuck off.
Well, maybe I need to apologize then, too, for which actually you asked for.
Oh, we'll get to that. By the way, sending a mic bill to you, 170 is your half. This mic equipment.
But that was in response to you recently sending me
overnight shipping because more failed fishing promises. $25. It's like an American Express ad.
Yeah. Well, that was from the week before you bailed out on fishing and then made me ship the SD cards to you. On the day I should have been fishing, I had to run to the post office and overnight it to you.
Right. So, like nearly a day passes, and I text Pete. We're just not talking to each other. No texting.
Which isn't uncommon, but there's a tension that's...
Yes, it's just lingering.
Right.
And I post, or I text him, all this time has passed and still no apology from you. Hashtag, you've changed.
Which goes way back, and that's a whole other story. Show him a picture of that face you sent me, though.
Can you... Yeah, that's
his emotion. That's his emoticon.
Yeah, that's called an what is that? A emoji?
Emoji.
A bitmoji.
A bitmoji.
Yeah,
right.
My wife made that for me. Looks just like me, doesn't it?
Oh, that's you.
Yeah, that's me.
Oh, I just thought it was some random guy.
No, that's me. So whenever you see this, this me.
Can you do different expressions?
Oh yeah.
Of your face?
Oh yeah. I'll send you more. So what happened is that. We started then texting back and
we smooth things over.
And we smooth things over, and
I still haven't sent him any bills yet or anything.
I will pay it. I don't have a problem with that. So I basically I summoned up I put my pride. What is it, my I don't know how to what I'm trying to say, but I'm trying to say I apologize to Pete. I said I eventually said I'm sorry for being an asshole yesterday.
Okay, and I apologize too, Greg.
I shouldn't have made those comments. Upside is it will make for great podcast conversation,
right. And hence now we ended up here. And for future reference, if you do catch a shit on the podcast, which I'm probably going to miss these.
There's quite a few swear words this one.
I know. It really makes my life harder than it should, but
I apologize.
It's fun to swear. Just grab that timestamp. Just, give it a run through.
Timestamp. I got it.
Send me right there. Or I was looking for a topic too, like anything that would clue me into it, but it was just like 2025 is pretty good.
I mean, I'd say, yeah.
I failed twice.
I think we need to end this podcast.
I think what we need to do is take our aggression out on Timmy instead of each other, because he's basically doing nothing. I know you're not getting paid well, but you're not really being helpful other than telling us to stop or go faster, and a lot of hand movements, and none of it's helping. So
yeah, fuck off, Timmy.
Yeah. I'll remember to cut that one out. Okay, so we're going to wrap up another Fishing Show podcast number 9. We've covered a lot of amazing topics. Pete Maina, helicopters, bikinis, Hooch Chanson, Timmy the producer. It's all in there, so we'd like to thank everybody for tuning in and listening. Don't forget to subscribe to Another Fishing Show. Our channel needs subscribers.
Please subscribe. It's the best way to support us.
It's like a vote. It keeps us going. It keeps us motivated, and we need to get to bed because we're going to go fishing, so watch for the video that comes up. We're going to try and catch something tomorrow. We don't know what it's going to be yet, but we'll figure it out in the morning, and then you get to watch us. So that's the beauty of the internet.
Are you going to do your catchphrase?
What was my Oh, don't. And by the way, folks, don't leave your worms in the sun. Thank you, everybody.